Kanye is like a walking startup, right? Like so many startups, and if you really get into their world, they're always talking about like, it's about MVP, man. You know, you just get out there, it's minimal viable product, you release that into the world, then you iterate on it and blah, 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 A round, B round funding, yada, yada, yada. And he's always been that, right? Like he's always been the person that I have this idea and I have this thought, and what is the fastest, strongest way to get this thing out, get it to the people, and we'll iterate on it later, right? Like it might change, it might get better, it might get worse, or it might whatever, but we're doing this on the fly. And so I've just looked at it as just like he's gonna figure it out. And then 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when there's a bit of distance, you know, from the red hat and all of that, like people may be like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. He needed to get to this point, or he needed to get to this point. I mean, it's something I've seen you obviously tweeting about the last two songs that have come out this week from him. But at least I'd love your take on it, but what I sense is even this is an iteration of what happened on the last project, right? Because even this is like, oh, okay. So now you can take what you learned from Yeezus, and now you can take what you kind of, when you were trying to figure out how am I going to rap in the way that I'm still Kanye, but about these subjects now that are very important to me. And I feel like this is like the first offering that is figuring out a way to do that. You know, is it going to be the best offering? I don't think so. But I think finding, like, that's just always been his sort of thing. And again, for young artists and entrepreneurs and people in general, sometimes everyone is so afraid to put the product into the world because they're just afraid of whatever is going to happen, that it's not ready yet, it's not good enough, it's not, you don't have the gall or whatever to do it. Like when you see what happens, you also know that like if it's great, people are going to really care. If it's not, it'll be forgotten about in a very short amount of time anyway. And you can put the next thing out and the next thing out and the next thing out. And like we often talk about off camera, which is like putting in these reps and building this consistency and ability to get products into the space. And I think with all of this stuff that we've been talking about over the last, 20 minutes is like, those are always the positive things to take from it.
Sure.